the schedule.
Okay,
of the
thanks.
board meetings.
Okay.
We'll have some current information that's just come in,
Okay, yeah.
and then you will have a copy of the agenda.
Yes, I was just looking at it,
Okay.
yeah, because I was here.
Yeah, just let me know if you lost or whatever.
It's always like, if I'm lost, I can just always like,
I mean, you just gotta learn how to like pretend like what
Okay.
where you're at.
Okay. Anyone else?
okay,
Anyone
Worked
need
for a
some
while
gifts?
for me now, so.
yeah.
Is it? I don't know. I'll leave.
I'll have one.
And as I told you, the other ones that have come up here,
I'm gonna need it.
and then you start doing
They're gonna do present.
share your opinion. Don't be afraid. That's why you.
You want some also?
They're take pictures.
As well.
Different the views of your perceived views and your.
We're gonna take a picture.
Your representatives.
And not only that, we're passing it.
How does that go?
Oh, just.
Hi.
Awesome. I got it.
Those that go.
Call this meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. Can we get a pledge of allegiance? Stephanie, can you lead us on the pledge of allegiance, please?
Sure. Everyone please stand. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's say, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, Board Vice President Adonis Galarza Toledo,
Present.
Board Clerk Jocelyn Vargas. Present. Board Member Silvia Paz. Board Member Joey Acuña.
Here.
Board Member Trinidad Arredondo.
Present.
Board Member Jesus Gonzalez.
Here.
Okay.
Thank you. Closed session public comments. Let me read my little. Do we have any closed session public comments? No, so I don't need to read this, right? Okay, cool. At this moment, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
A motion?
Motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second. Second by Mr. Redondo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any abstain? Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll see you all at 7 o'clock.
Somewhere in the middle, I could count to 10 in Spanish.
There was a motion to return to closed session. There was a motion to open session. There was a motion to create to come back to open session. Motion by Mr. Gonzalez, and it was seconded by Mr. Arredondo. Carried unanimously. Moving on to action taken in closed session. Madam Clerk, can you please announce any action taken in closed session?
Yes. The board took action, the board took the following action in closed session. Approved expulsion case number 22 dash, backslash, I'm like, how do you say that? Like, dash 23, dash 004 for stipulated expulsion. Motion was made by Mr. Arredondo, seconded by Mr. Gonzalez. Motion was carried 5-0. I'm like, backslash? Okay, the board took action on the following closed session item. Approved expulsion case number 22 backslash 23 hyphen 002 for stipulated expulsion. Motion was made by Mr. Gonzalez, seconded by Mr. Arredondo, and motion was carried 5-0. The board took action during closed session to appoint Melissa Mora as middle school principal at Toro Canyon Middle School effective Friday, November 18, 2022, on this 17th day of November 2022. Motion was made by Mr. Gonzalez, seconded by Mr. Arredondo. Motion was carried 6-0. She's here. And then the last one, the board took action during closed session to appoint Ana Garcia as Community Engagement Manager, effective on this day, the 17th day of November. Motion was made by Mr. Gonzalez, seconded by Mr. Arredondo, and the motion was carried 6-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this moment, we'll move on to item 3.3, approval of agenda submitted.
A motion.
Motion to approve.
Was there an item we were going to pull?
What item would you like to pull, Mr. Arredondo?
What was that? We were
10.4?
10.5. We were going to
10.5.
10.5?
we were going to table, correct?
Yes, okay. There's a,
A motion recognizing that we're removing item 10.5.
there was a motion by Mr. Gonzalez to approve agenda submitted. Second with the friendly amendment by Mr. Arredondo to pull item 10.5. Friendly amendment was accepted by Mr. Gonzalez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. 10.5 has been removed. Moving on. Public comments. Where's my little paper? Introductory comments and requests to address the board on items on the adopted agenda and items not on the adopted agenda will be considered from the audience at this time. Please complete a request to address the governing board form and hand it to the recording secretary. The online form submitted electronically will be read. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes per person with a maximum of 20 minutes to each subject matter. Additionally, the person making the request should state her name, and the name of the organization or group represented. Please be advised that the board is not always at liberty to answer questions right away. State law prohibits the board from taking any action on items not listed on the agenda. This moment, I'll call up Abby Sanchez to the podium.
Good evening, members of the board and Superintendent Valentino. My name is Abby Sanchez. I'm here to represent the parents at CVU Elementary School. We believed from the first time that we met with Mr. Galarza that having a school resource officer on the agenda was going to happen, only to find out a few weeks ago that was never the intention of this board. We appreciate that our issue is now on the agenda. In light of what happened at Toro Canyon Middle School, we, the parents at Seaview Elementary, believe even more firmly that a full-time school resource officer is necessary at Seaview. Like I have said many times, I do think that restorative justice is a great practice, but until the district is going to invest money in counselors, training, and restorative justice activists, restorative justice is not a viable option. Our school is in a remote area where police response is very slow. When you vote, please consider that this is what the parents at CV want. Please consider that our location is unique to the rest of Coachella Valley Unified. We are not near many houses, people, a fire department, a police department, or the hospital. Since our location is so remote, that is why a school resource officer is necessary at Seaview. Thank you.
I'm waiting for the next one. That's funny. Ana Gonzalez.
Buenas noches, miembros de la mesa directiva y superintendente. Mi nombre es Ana González, madre de alumno de Toro Canyon y miembro de ICUC. Vengo aquí ante ustedes para compartir mi experiencia durante el incidente que pasó el 2 de noviembre, donde un estudiante entró con una arma de fuego. Ese día estuve muy inquieta, ya no sabíamos qué era lo que había pasado en realidad, solo lo que nuestros hijos nos dijeron. Mi hijo tuvo un ataque de ansiedad ese día. Yo no pude contactarme con él. Estaba muy preocupada. Cuando yo lo llamaba, él no podía contestar mi teléfono. Estaba en shock. Mi hijo, cuando yo lo fui a recoger, él estuvo caminando solo en la escuela preparatoria. Él no conocía esa escuela, en su vida había estado ahí. Cuando mi hijo estuvo con ese shock, él duró, para ser exacta, 4 días durmiendo conmigo. Él estaba muy, muy asustado. Fue tanto su miedo, tan extremo, y el mío, que tuve que optar por agarrar estudios independientes para él. Gracias.
Gracias.
Good evening. I'll be translating that in English. Good evening, members of the board and superintendent. My name is Ana Gonzalez, the mother of a student at Toro Canyon and member of ICUC. I come here today to share my experience during the incident that happened the 2nd of November when a student came to the school with a gun. That day, I had no idea what was going on. I did not receive any information from the district. The only thing we knew is what our students would tell us. My son suffers from anxiety, and for that reason, I was more concerned. When he couldn't answer my calls, I was in shock that I couldn't find him walking from CB High School. It was a lot of trauma on my son that he had to sleep with me several days after the incident. And I had to take the extreme choice to put him in independent studies. What are the protocols to communicate with families in case there are threats like this again? Thank you.
Thank you. Yesenia Posar.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Yesenia Posar. Tengo 2 hijos en la Desert Mirage, un hijo en Toro Canyon y uno en Saúl Martínez. Y soy miembro de la UCI, no sé pronunciarlo, disculpen. El día del incidente estaba muy preocupada sin saber lo que realmente estaba pasando. Dentro de la escuela y yo estaba trabajando lejos, en el Valle Imperial. Mi desesperación se hizo más grande cuando cada uno de mis hijos me daba una versión diferente de lo que estaba pasando y sin recibir información del distrito escolar o de la escuela. Cuando mi hijo me estaba llamando para decirme el incidente que estaba pasando, se le cayó el celular mientras todos iban corriendo y ya no tuve comunicación con él. Esto me hizo sentir más frustrada porque nunca tuvimos información lo que realmente estaba pasando. Ustedes pueden imaginar mi frustración al estar lejos de mis hijos y sin saber nada. Sabemos que no es la primera vez que un incidente así pasa. Al comienzo de este año escolar, un estudiante de la escuela primaria CVUSD entró a la escuela con un arma y los padres no fueron notificados de lo que pasó. Creemos que hay una falta de información acerca del protocolo en caso de una amenaza y crea frustración por parte de la comunidad. Los estudiantes y padres, ¿qué está haciendo el distrito para compartir este protocolo con la comunidad? Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Good evening, members of the board and superintendent. My name is Yesenia Posar. I have 2 children at Desert Mirage and 1 at Toro Canyon and 1 at Saul Martinez, and I am a member of ICUC. The day of the incident, I was very worried without knowing really what was going on at the school. I was working far away. My desperation became larger when each of my children gave me different versions of what was going on, and without receiving any information from the district or the school. When my child was calling me to let me know what was going on, he dropped his cell phone because everybody was running, and I had no communication with him. This made me feel very frustrated because we never really got clear information as to what really happened. Could you imagine my frustration being so far from my children and not knowing anything? We know that this isn't the first time that an incident like this has happened. A student at an elementary school, at CVU Elementary School, came into the school with a gun, and the parents were not notified. We believe that there is a lack of information shared as to what the protocols are when there is such a threat, and it creates a lot of frustration on the community. What is the district doing to share this protocol with the community? Thank you.
Norma Ortiz.
Buenas noches a todos. Mi nombre es Norma Ortiz y tengo hijos que asisten al distrito escolar de Coachella. Lo que pasó en la secundaria de Toro Cañón es muy triste, alarmante, y nos dejó ver qué tan importante es el involucramiento de todos para que nuestros hijos estén a salvo. Como padre de familia me dio mucho miedo que estos incidentes se están volviendo tan normales en nuestras vidas. Tenemos que trabajar todos juntos para mantener a nuestros hijos seguros, no solo dentro de nuestras escuelas, sino también en las paradas de autobús. Tener un plan, entrenar a los choferes en cómo actuar cuando vean a un estudiante con un arma, como ya pasó. No me puedo imaginar lo que hubiera pasado si este estudiante hubiera disparado la pistola dentro del autobús. La mayoría aquí somos padres de familia y yo solo les pido que se pongan en nuestra situación. ¿Cómo hubiera actuado ustedes si no recibieran información de lo que está pasando dentro de la escuela de sus hijos? Imaginen el miedo, la impotencia y desesperación que nosotros como padres sentimos al no saber qué estaba pasando. Muchas gracias.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Norma Ruiz. I have kids that attend this district. What happened at the secondary school, Toro Canyon, is very sad and alarming. And it let us know how important it is for all of us to be involved to ensure that our kids are safe. Like a parent, it was very scary for me, all of these incidents, to look at them like normal incidents in our lives. We need to work together to maintain our kids safe in these schools and at the bus stops. We need to put a plan in place for the bus drivers so that they know what to do with a student if there happens to be a gun. I can't imagine what would have happened if the student would have actually shot the gun inside the bus. The majority of us here are parents, and I just ask you to put yourself in my situation. How would you have acted if you hadn't received any information about what was going on in the school where your children are? Imagine the fear and the desperation that we as fathers feel when we don't know what's going on. Thank you.
Delia Silvestre.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Delia Silvestre, vengo de la comunidad de North Shore y estoy aquí para hacerles el comentario que mi hijo me comenta que hay un niño que molesta a los niños. Dice mi hijo que este niño es muy bueno para pelear. Cada que se pelea con alguien, los golpea muy feo. Un día me dijo que lo miró fumando y que le dijo el niño, pues le señaló los puños. Si me entero que me regañan, voy a saber que tú dijiste que me viste haciendo esto. Me comentó que un día aventó a un niño contra la pared. Días después golpeó a otro niño y lo golpeó en el suelo y se desmayó. Mi niño tiene miedo de ese niño. Otra cosa, el día de la pistola, dicen los compañeros de clase que el niño de la pistola dijo, yo no quería lastimar a nadie, solamente a este niño que nos está molestando, por eso traje la pistola. Y yo quisiera pedirles que pusieran detector de metales y que tengan más cuidado con los niños que hacen bullying, que molestan a otros niños, para evitar estas reacciones. De antemano les doy las gracias y pues disculpen porque se pone uno nervioso. Gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Hello, I'm a parent in the North Shore community, and I'm here today to share that my child has told me that there is a student in his school that bullies other students and that he knows how to fight, and that he has also been seen smoking on campus. A lot of students are afraid of this bully. Also, with the incident that happened at Toro Canyon, that brings us a lot of fear, and we would really appreciate you considering putting metal detectors at each of the sites. Thank you.
Gracias. And Conchita Posar.
Muy buenas noches, miembros de la mesa directiva. Mi nombre es Conchita Posar. Es muy difícil para nosotros como padres estar esta tarde aquí hablando sobre este tema que ha sido tan difícil para nosotros. Espero nos comprendan nuestros nudos en la garganta. Tengo una hija en la escuela de Toro Canyon, otra en la Saúl Martínez y soy miembro de ICUC. Quiero agradecerles su pronta acción el día del incidente dentro de la escuela Toro Canyon y mantener a nuestros hijos salvos. El día del incidente me llamaron algunas mamás preguntándome si sabía lo que estaba pasando en la escuela. Como yo y ellas estábamos sorprendidas porque no sabíamos lo que estaba pasando. Hasta que una mamá se pudo comunicar con su hijo y le dijo que un estudiante estaba dentro de la escuela con una pistola. Esto me llenó de miedo y frustración. ¿Por qué? Porque para mí mi niña es una niña y todavía no tiene que tener un celular. No podía comunicarme con ella, no podía llamarle. Llamamos al distrito y no tuvimos respuesta. Me hubiera tranquilizado recibir una llamada del distrito escolar o de la escuela dejándome saber que los niños estaban bien y que iban a ser evacuados a otra escuela y decirnos que no nos podían dar más información por los protocolos o por todo lo que estaba sucediendo. Si esto hubiera sucedido, tal vez algunos padres de familia nos hubiéramos quedado un poco más tranquilos. Que estaban bien y sin correr ningún peligro. Muchos padres, como yo, aún sentimos frustración. Específicamente yo, porque no sabía manejar y no podía dirigirme hacia el lugar de los hechos. Nos encantaría organizar una reunión en los próximos 30 días conjunto con nuestro distrito escolar y ICUC y las familias para escuchar la experiencia y preocupación que tuvieron en ese incidente. Podemos contar con el liderazgo de nuestro distrito para reunirnos con nosotros en la iglesia de Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe en Meca. En los últimos 30 días esperamos su respuesta para poder trabajar y mejorar el protocolo que ustedes tienen hacia una situación como esta. También quisiera decirles que yo sé que Latino Commission trabaja con ustedes y qué es lo que ellos están haciendo para comunicarse con los padres de familia de Toro Canyon hacia la situación que ocurrió. ¿Ya los atendieron? ¿Cuántos pacientes tienen? ¿Cuántos niños han atendido o no? Siempre nosotros como padres tenemos que comunicarnos hacia ustedes. ¿Por qué no ustedes hacia nosotros? Muchísimas gracias, que Dios los bendiga.
Buenas noches a la... sorry. Good evening, board members and superintendent. My name is Conchita Posar. I have a daughter at Toro Canyon and another at Saul Martinez, and I am a member of ICUC. I'd like to appreciate this. I want to appreciate the quick action the day of the incident at Toro Canyon and for keeping our kids safe. The day of the incident, several mothers called me asking me if I knew what was going on at the school. And I was surprised because I had no idea. It wasn't until a mother was able to communicate with her son to let them know that there was a gun inside of the school. That filled me with fear and frustration because my daughter doesn't have a cell phone. She's too young. And I had no way to communicate with her to know that she's okay. I feel a lot of anger for not knowing, for not being able to know what was going on, and for me to be able to bring my daughter home. I would have been calmer had I received a call from the district or the school letting me know that the children are safe and that they were being evacuated to another school. Had they given us more information, we would have been calm. A lot of parents are frustrated because they did not hear any communication from the district. We would like to organize a reunion in the next 30 days with some of the leaders here at this district, ICUC, and families to listen to the experiences and the concerns. Can we count on your leadership from this district to unite with us at the church, Santuario Nuestra de Guadalupe in Mecca, to work together on a better protocol for a situation like this? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you all for your public comments. This time we'll move on to written communications. Lisette, do we have any written communications?
Yes, we have 2 comments that were submitted online. Shannon Rodriguez, Somos Comunidad, we are community. It is our motto at Las Palmitas Elementary. But on Wednesday, November 2nd, we did not act as a community. We ignored an essential part of our community, our parents and families. On November 2nd, a Toro Canyon student brought a gun to school on the bus. Multiple students at the bus stop were shown the weapon. Toro Canyon and Desert Mirage were both on lockdown prior to the 10:30 a.m. order to evacuate was announced. Las Palmitas was given the same 10:30 a.m. order to evacuate. That's roughly 3,000 students right next door. With texting ability that we can realistically assume we're able to alert parents. Roughly an hour or more before Las Palmitas, teachers and students were alerted to the potential danger. Our entire 3rd grade was outside on PE while a helicopter was overhead, supporting officers on the ground. These educators and students were completely ignorant of the gravity of the situation. The tragedy in Uvalde, Texas isn't too far in the past where we can't learn from their missteps. Let's deliver on the ideals expressed when we recite Somos Comunidad. Let's act, not react, and when we have to react, let's have a practice plan in place. Parents should not be made to sit in the dark and worry about their children's very lives. In closing, we need a district-wide plan, a K-12 park plan, and a school plan when weapons are discovered on a school site. These plans should include, for our families, what we know in real time, not to mention all the food, water, and other essential supplies necessary to provide for students in lockdowns and/or evacuations. Thank you, community and board members. We have another comment from an anonymous parent at CVU. Muy buenas tardes a todos nuestros miembros de esta mesa directiva, esperando se encuentren bien. Paso a mi comentario con respecto a la petición de un guardia de seguridad permanente en la escuela elemental CVU. En mi opinión, estoy en desacuerdo a que esto se implemente. Me gustaría que tomáramos en cuenta la cantidad de fondos que se tendrían que destinar a este cambio y no solo tomando en cuenta a CVU, ya que entonces esto se tendría que aplicar igualitariamente en todas las elementales de nuestro distrito, ya que los niños tienen todos los mismos derechos. Creo que en lugar de eso, deberíamos pedir a nuestros hijos más salones, ya que con el aumento de población en nuestra comunidad, el espacio se está volviendo limitado. Necesitamos tutores y maestros. Necesitamos personal para cuidar los cruceros a la salida de los niños. También estamos escasos de equipo para los deportes de los niños, así como el dinero para que tengan la oportunidad de asistir fuera del área a los torneos. Nuestra escuela necesita reparaciones en la cafetería. Tenemos grietas enormes que ponen en riesgo la seguridad de los niños, así como en un futuro la mejora de la cocina, ya que no tenemos para servir alimentos frescos. Estamos esperando que todos nuestros autobuses cuenten con aire acondicionado o, ¿por qué no?, seguir adquiriendo más para evitar el problema de falta de estos. Y puedo continuar, pero no me alcanza el tiempo. ¿Por qué no mejor hacer uno de los recursos con los que ya contamos? Asistencia en salud mental, asistir como padres a talleres de prevención de bullying, prevención de drogas, capacitación para padres para saber entender a nuestros hijos, tomar la ayuda de las agencias que tienen contrato con nuestro distrito, todo lo que sea necesario para que como padres, tutores o familiares de crianza temporal de un niño podamos ayudar a prevenir los incidentes que hemos tenido, porque eso nos corresponde más a nosotros como padres. La escuela solo es el complemento para educar y fortalecer el desempeño de los estudiantes. Somos una comunidad que con unión podemos lograr cambios positivos para los niños. Sigamos trabajando en ello. Y entonces no será necesario que un guardia de seguridad proteja a nuestros hijos de nosotros mismos. Gracias y buenas noches. And I'll read it in English now. Good afternoon to all of our board members. Hoping you are well. I will now turn my comment regarding the request for a permanent security guard at CVU Elementary School. In my opinion, I am in disagreement with this being implemented. I would like us to take into consideration the amount of funds that would have to be allocated for this change, and not just for CVU, as this would then have to be applied equally to all elementary schools in our district, as the children have all the same rights. I think we should instead ask for more classrooms for our children because with the growing population in our community, space is becoming limited. We need tutors and teachers. We need staff to watch crosswalks when the children leave. We are also short of equipment for the children's sports, as well as money for them to have the opportunity to attend out-of-area tournaments. Our school needs repairs in the cafeteria. We have huge cracks that jeopardize the safety of the children, as well as in the future upgrading the kitchen, as we do not have one to serve fresh food. We are waiting for all of our buses to have air conditioning, or why not continue acquiring more to avoid the lack of air in the buses? And I could go on, but I don't have time. Why not make use of the resources we already have? Mental health assistance, parents attending bullying prevention workshops, drug prevention, training for parents on how to understand our children, taking help from agencies that have a contract with our district, anything that is necessary for us, parents, guardians, or foster care relatives of a child to help prevent the issues we've been dealing with. Because it is more up to us as parents. The school is only a complement to educate and strengthen the performance of the students. We are a community that with unity we can achieve positive changes for the children. Let's keep working on it, and then it won't be necessary for a security guard to protect our children from ourselves. Thank you and good night. And we have the last comment. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es María. Les mando esta carta por mi grande preocupación sobre lo que pasó en la escuela Toro Canyon. Me interesa mucho saber qué planes tienen para la seguridad de nuestros hijos, ya que esto nos tomó muy de sorpresa. No creíamos que pasara. No creeríamos que pasara esto y me gustaría que se hiciera una reunión únicamente para hablar de este tema. Somos muchos los papás que pensamos que podría haber más seguridad, por ejemplo, detectores de objetos o chequear las mochilas de los niños. Otra cosa que después cuando íbamos a recoger a los niños nadie nos decía por dónde. Yo personalmente le di la vuelta a toda la manzana. Caminando podrían poner a alguien porque unos caminábamos para un lado y otros para otro. Afuera de la escuela yo personalmente me asusté mucho porque yo no me podía comunicar con mi hijo ya que salieron rápido y no agarró su celular y él es especial, tiene problemas de lenguaje. Atentamente, María. That's it.
Thank you, Lisette. Moving on to student trustee report. Trustee De La Rosa.
So both CV and DM, there has been a total of 72 students who have earned the seal of multiliteracy for the 2022 to 2023 school year. And the CV dance team and our dance team, DM, have collaborated for the East Valley Dance Project, where we had the opportunity to participate and perform in the McCallum Theater's Choreography Festival this past weekend. And then in West Shores, the bathrooms are being remodeled, and their gym will also be remodeled during winter break. The month of November has been going well for both students and teachers, and the winter sports season has started for all of our schools. The boys and girls soccer season, as well as the basketball season. In CV, the College and Career Center is now open through all periods where seniors have the opportunity to have a one-on-one assistance with their college applications. They have been hosting FAFSA parent nights for parents who need help and assistance with their FAFSA or DREAM Act process. And for their sports, on Wednesday, November 19th, the City of Coachella gave a special proclamation to all the fall sports for winning league or qualifying for CIF. And the CVHS Student Advisory Committee will hold a meeting on November 30th, and the dance team for CV was chosen to perform for the AEC 22 conference on December 1st. Their Puente program is hosting parent nights to discuss program guidelines and student expectations. And they're also recognizing and celebrating their Puente students who are meeting A through G requirements. Their AVID program, seniors are currently focused on completing their college applications as well as the FAFSA application as the deadlines are nearing. In DM, yesterday we held a drive-through ceremony to recognize students for their academics as well as teacher-nominated student awards. We also had a drug-free parent workshop held by our Wellness Center for parents to know how to support their student to stay drug-free and to visit the Wellness Center. In our College and Career Center, we now have an administrative specialist, Melissa Montes, who will be assisting our center. And during the month of October and November, our counselors have helped 254 seniors who meet the A through G requirements on their college applications. They're also meeting with seniors who are not on track yet to give a plan for adult school, summer school, or an alternate plan, ensuring that every senior is being helped and assisted for their future. Then ASB just wrapped up the Dia de los Muertos Festival and the pot decorating contest and are now getting ready for the upcoming Winter Posada in December. And the DMHS Student Council is currently recruiting DM students to be part of this council and plan on having their first meeting on November 30th. And the CTE film is partnered with Desert X to film and job shadow for an upcoming documentary around the Coachella Valley for the spring of 2023. Not to mention, the aviation will have 2 airports this year for job shadowing, the Desert Jet and Bermuda Dunes Airport. The Green Academy has also worked on their capstone projects, which includes campus beautification, beach cleanup days, recycling projects, and reduction of single-use plastics. And we are also working on a new CPA program team in construction, and the dual enrollment with COD in process for a sports medicine, TV film, and employability classes is also in work. And that would be all.
Thank you for your very comprehensive report. Thank you for all your work and commitment to your peers and your colleagues at the other schools. We'll move on to our board members' reports. Mr. Acuna.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank everybody for all their comments. I want to thank my new neighbor here. We've gone to the other one, so it's nice to have known all of them, so thank you. And I also want to say thanks to Mom, because she's here videotaping everything, just like a good mom should. A couple of things I'd like to thank or to recognize all the fall sports and everyone that did a great job. We had a lot of really successful programs this year, not only in football, but in golf, tennis, volleyball. I think, boys and girls, I can go through all of them. And some of those sites that maybe didn't make it to CIF, but man, they worked their hearts out. So I want to thank all of them. I want to thank all their parents for participating. I know that it takes a lot. I haven't been a parent myself in that situation. Also want to do a shout out to the ACES program, who had a couple of tournaments lately. The last one being the dodgeball. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there, but a good time was had by all. Playing dodgeball is one of those sports that I think is very good for our kids to get some of their aggression out without actually hurting each other. So I think I want to thank them. Also want to mention, I've said this before, I'll say it again in another comment, but I do want to thank all the staff and all the people, the principal at Toro Canyon and the staff and everyone who did a great job that day. A shout out to our security who did their job, right? The students who, unfortunately, that's why we don't tell them, because they're texting everybody, telling them 3 or 4 different stories, and even scare parents even more. But I want to thank all of them for doing their job pretty much the way it was supposed to be done. Obviously, we've had reviews, and there will be areas where we're going to work on. Obviously, maybe the communication with the parent wasn't the greatest, but as I mentioned to a lot of the parents who called me, our first priority was to make sure your kids were safe, and we maybe didn't do the best job. I will take that responsibility that you can yell at me. My first priority was make sure the kids were safe, the staff was safe, and everybody did their job. Again, there are things that we're going to look at and then change, obviously, and go back and do better. But I also wanted to send a shout out to the deputies who responded immediately when we got there. My understanding is them working in tandem with our security did a great job. Not so much the sheriff, and I don't want to go after him, but for most of you who do not know, in the 3 districts that we have, weapons have been found in other districts as well. They pretty much done the same thing we did. Lockdown, support, find the kids, remove them immediately. They've done their job. In all those times, the sheriff of the county has never come down to have a press conference to complain that we don't have officers in their sites. That was a political agenda move that he made, and I found it disgusting for one. But again, I want to make sure that the deputies that actually responded, the ones that were there, did a great job with our community, did a great job with our staff, and did a great job with our kids. So again, as a parent, with my student went through CVUSD, I often got those calls that they were on lockdown as well from my son. So I do understand your anxiety and the feelings. And then during that cases, I was actually a board member, and I didn't exactly know all the facts. But it was like I tell people, if there's a fire, call the fire department. Don't call me. Make sure the situation is taken care of first before you contact me. Don't waste your time doing that. Again, we'll do a better job. I know this board is committed to do a better job in communications. I offer my apologies as a board member that didn't happen as good as it could. But I want you to understand that the staff, the teachers, the kitchen staff, the drivers, everyone who was involved in our district did a great job, as did our students, for the most part, following direction and doing what they needed to do. We'll work on the confusion part, but I believe, again, I want to thank all of our staff, not only from the sites because they did a great job, but all the support staff that came from all the other departments that were out there. So again, we'll work on what we didn't do right. We'll get it better. But again, I do want to point out that in general, what everybody did was what they were supposed to do. And again, a shout out to our security who were on it, got on it, found the students, and got the students. And so that concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Arredondo?
Yes, Mr. Vice President, thank you. Good evening, everybody. It's good to see everybody here. Thank you for your comments. Just a couple of things. Do want to give a shout out to all our staff at Toro Canyon Middle School. As has been said, that our first job is safety and security, and your kids were safe that day, and I'm happy that was the case, because it's important that everybody feels safe, and so I'd like to thank everybody at Toro Canyon Middle School and the K-12 campus who did what they had to do to make sure our students went to a safe place and were fed, and everybody that was part of it, including the local sheriff's office. I did get an opportunity to visit Coachella Valley High School to go see some of the classrooms, some of the issues that they had. We've had some security issues there as well, that will hopefully be addressed. And I think what you're seeing is that we will take action to make sure that our kids are safe on campus and that our staff are safe as well. Because I do know that right now around the country, there's a lot of things happening at schools, and we're no different. Our school district there are things happening that we will address. So I'll say that much. This past Tuesday, I also got the opportunity to attend a ceremony to honor our own former CHP officer, Saul Martinez. It was his birthday. And thank you to Saul Martinez's staff and the family that was there. These past 3 days, I myself sat through Raising Children with Pride training, and I thank the district staff who put that together, because it does show that we are offering trainings to our staff to provide to our students and our families, and so that's important. So I do want to say that we will continue, I think, to better and provide different approaches to different issues that arise. But the main thing as a board is safety and security is our number one priority. And I think you'll hear it over and over again tonight. But so I do want to thank everybody, and I hope everybody has a safe week off, that Thanksgiving break, and that we'll see everybody back in a week after tonight. Thank you. Those are my comments.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Gonzalez?
I don't have a report. I want to thank the parents that are here that got to get up in the morning probably to go to work, and obviously this is important enough for them to be here. I, as a board member, didn't know what was going on. Even in the information that I got, it wasn't accurate, and it's concerning to me. It's concerning to me because not only do we not get this information right, we don't get basic information out to the community, just on simple things like good things that are happening in our community. That message isn't resonating, so that the people understand that the people at this dais, right, as your representatives, that we're doing the best we can to make sure that every child has the best learning opportunities, whether they be on one side of the school district or on the other. And I can tell you that we're working on expanding our community information, and this is, I think, a simple message that nobody was hurt, but that we're being careful, and that we're shutting down the school. And as a matter of fact, we're taking it with such ease and with such care that we're going to move the students to another high school in buses. Just basic information that we could have got out on the radio. I didn't know what was going on. I have a daughter at CV High School. She's in her 3rd year, and I heard rumors that something else had happened there. And so I could imagine not being able to communicate with a child by phone. I could imagine having 3, 4 different children in school and everybody giving you a different story because nobody knows what's going on. I think the most important thing that we could have did was to let everybody know that nobody was hurt, right? And that obviously we were being careful and that we were going to slowly let the children leave campus. And so I am as concerned as you are. I will be at the meeting at the church. You tell me when. And I think this school district, our administration gets to understand that this is a serious issue. And we have the moral obligation to let you know what's going on every day. Doesn't matter what we're doing, whether it's recreational related, whether it's an emergency, whether it's services. That's our job.
Trustee Paz?
Yes, I want to follow up to the comments made by my colleagues and not taking away from anything. I echo the sentiments. I do have a few recommendations that I'm going to put on the table and ask our administration to take and improve and bring back to us based on the discussion. So one recommendation is that we look into a public information officer, whether that's a new position or an existing role adding, but the idea is having this person whose duties, amongst others, would be explicitly to establish and oversee the implementation of a crisis communication process in place, so that when things like this happen, this person will be the one responsible with putting out as many text messages, phone calls, whatever it takes to let the community, this is the information that we have at this moment. We'll get back to you when something else comes up. But leaving our community, and that includes, I mean, I imagine many teachers didn't even know what was going on either, right? So that's inclusive of all of our community members in our schools, that they receive this information. My second recommendation is that we post what our protocols are in our schools and in areas that are accessible to community members. I had similar questions, similar lack of information, and I was told that there were protocols and that they were followed. I think that's great, but if nobody knows what those protocols are, then it leads to the confusion and the questions. So if we can please, again, post those protocols in our schools, in areas that are accessible to our parents. And to the comments that I heard about repeated aggressions by students, I believe that our school district should have a firm response, a firm consequence and discipline for our students who are repeatedly committing aggressions. And I think this is in alignment and coexist with our restorative justice blended model program. And we should be, again, doing it. It's frustrating to continue hearing the belief, right, that we cannot take action because of our belief in restorative justice, that we cannot discipline because of our belief in restorative justice, or that nothing is happening. So I ask again that as a district, you provide us with what that response is going to be. And on the topic of security and SROs, I believe that as long as these positions, right, are willing to be trained in restorative justice and support its implementation, that is something that I personally would be open to consider. I think we have a better chance when we're talking about our own personnel, right? Security, I know there's been conversations with CSCA on what this could look like, and those conversations need to continue so that we can get there and ensure that our securities or safety assistants, right, will be trained in restorative justice, will be part of its implementation. As far as the school resource officers, well, we don't have a lot of control as a board on what type of training they receive. When the vote came before us years ago on whether we should continue the contract with the sheriff for SROs, my question was one and simple. I said, I'm not against any police officer. My question is, if you're in our schools, are you willing to be part of our restorative justice blended model program and support its implementation? The response that I received at that time was a firm no, that was not the job of a police officer, of a resource officer, that their job is to respond to emergency criminal activity, that they're the last resort and they have a very specific duty in our communities. If that stance has changed and we now have a willingness, right, for police officers, particularly those who are interested in becoming school resource officers, to be trained and be part in restorative justice, I think it's a huge win, not just for our schools, but for our communities and what justice looks like in our community. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Paz. Trustee Vargas?
Yeah, I'll keep my comments brief. I completely support a lot of what has already been expressed by my colleagues here. I appreciate the parents as well for raising the concerns. I can't imagine how difficult it is, and to go through that experience, right? I think for me, I was in high school when things like 9/11 happened, and so I know it can be a very difficult experience as a parent, I'm sure. I think I agree that we really need to work on our communication. I'm grateful that we're having this conversation of being critical and trying to improve our processes instead of one that's probably much harder, more difficult conversation, right? But I think that we have a lot of areas of improvement, and I'm glad that we're able to. We're in a place when we can do that, right? I think it could have been a very different conversation. So. I agree that we really need to work on our communication. I think our website right now, it's only in English. I think if we're going to put our protocols and all these other information for our parents, it really has to be in a language that's accessible to them, and that includes language. And I know that we brought it up and raised the concern of language in other areas, but I think for safety, in order for them to hold us accountable, it has to be in a language that they can be able to read it, right, and is accessible to them. I'm really hoping that we can have an assessment of what happened that day and how we can improve, and really working with our teachers and staff, across departments to have a good understanding of, what took place that day and what are the areas that we can improve on. I know we've been working on implementing the ALICE training and other safety measures, so I'm really hopeful that we can continue to work on those and improve our campus facilities to be able to do that. In terms of the comment around access to the mental health services, I agree. I hope that we took some measures to have greater access on our sites to those services. I don't recall seeing some form of communication that went out to the community regarding those services. So, communicating that clearly, I think, is really important because it can be a very traumatic experience. In my own personal place of employment, we had a false alarm, but it was still very much a traumatic experience for the staff and students who were on campus, right? So I think being able to provide as many tools and resources to alleviate, I think, is important. And I think it's still important, right? Even though it's been some time since the incident happened. Yeah, I think my last comment, really want to thank the staff and everyone who, was able to make sure that there was no, incident on campus. Really appreciate everybody who did their job and just prioritize the safety of everybody on our sites. I think that's it for me.
Thank you, Trustee Vargas. As far as my report, I concur with everything that's been said. Great job to our staff. And it's hard, right? It's hard because when I received that phone call, I was scared. I was scared for students because we had minimal information at the time, and you can imagine, right, when you get the worst, the worst of information through a phone call, with the information that was given at the time or that we had at the time, right? It was very traumatic on our end too. But I can't imagine what it's like, right? For our parents on the other end, worrying about their kids and worrying about the safety of everyone. But like I said, luckily, nothing major happened. Our staff was there to get ahead of the situation. And it's unfortunate, right? It's unfortunate, and I think one of the things that I would like to see is more programs, more family orientated, or a very strategic family orientated program where we are engaging with their families at a deeper level, right? That we're providing classes to our parents, providing classes to our parents more than anybody, right? For science, healing, right? We need to get to the root cause of a lot of the issues that we're facing as a school district, right? A lot of the issues that we face, aggression, bullying, a lot of it starts at home, right? If there's a young kid, a 5-year-old, 10-year-old kid coming into school and kicking other kids and pulling hair and acting out of aggression, there's something deeper in there that we need to do, and that inhibits us from providing the best services we can and providing the best education possible, because we're often having to deal with situations like these, right? That are just so hard to even wrap your head around. But just anyways, very, very proud of our school district. I agree, definitely areas of improvement for communication. I do know that the first communication went out an hour after the incident, right, via Facebook, text message, and phone calls. And I remember that communication stating that everyone was okay, and that the students were being transferred. And I remember it was maybe an hour or so, because I got the phone call. The incident happened around 11 in the morning. By 12 p.m., that communication was going on, stating that at 1 p.m. the students could be picked up, right, from CV and Oasis Elementary. So those are kind of the timeline of events that I recall. But definitely, we can always improve, and I too will be at that meeting with a community that has requested that meeting at the church, and we'll move forward. Other than that, on a brighter note, we kicked off North Shore Elementary School, right? So we have a new elementary school coming to our school district that will be in the community. It is by the community, it's for the community. So I'm very happy that that we're finally, digs on with shovels on the ground, right? So congratulations to the community for all of your advocacy, for all of your hard work and dedication to make this happen, right? You all are the forefront of your community, and I admire you all for that, and we're here to work for you all. At the end of the day, we report to you all. So, that concludes my report. Dr. Valentino? Sorry, that's okay. I'm still waiting for President Ha to call on something, right? So I forget that I have the gavel today.
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank our staff, students, our parents, and our deputies for their efforts during the lockdown, the evacuation of an entire complex. Our transportation security teams ensured that 3,700 students and staff were transported to other sites during the lockdown and the evacuation. All hands were on deck that morning to ensure that we were able to manage that effort successfully, because our priority was to ensure that we kept our students safe. But it is clear, and I have to acknowledge, that there are areas that we could have done better in, primarily our communication. And so after the incident, over 40 school site staff members who were engaged in this incident, along with district office staff, met here to debrief the incident, to see what we could learn. And that is something that we do after each incident so that we can improve upon what we're doing. And so at the same time, we also had the opportunity to speak to some parents regarding the incident, many who had called us, many who we spoke to face to face. And the learnings follow the same pattern, that it took us a little bit longer to communicate to parents than we should have. And two, that we did not communicate as frequently as they would have hoped. One of the balances that need to be brought to bear is the fact that many of the students were texting at the moment that the incident was happening, even before the adults on the campus knew what was happening, because the information was being shared student to student and not necessarily student to adult. So one of the things that we wanted to avoid was chaos at the school by ensuring that we maintain a semblance of order and then prepare to evacuate them to the sites needed. But at the same time, we need to make sure that we not create greater anxiety in our parents, that we communicate what can be communicated at the time, and I think Ms. Posar put it well. We know that we can't communicate everything, but we can communicate that your children are fine, and that there will be a set of actions that we'll be taking following that communique that is shared every 30 minutes or every hour. And those are parts of the conversations that we have had since the incident. The goal is to improve our communications plan during an emergency, while at the same time improving our emergency operations plan that has been in existence in this district for a few years. And yes, a plan is a plan and only works when it's implemented well. So that includes providing additional training to ensure that we implement the plan effectively. There are a lot of new staff members, many of them working in the area of security, many of them working in the area of communications. So what we need to do is to bring everyone together to ensure that we all understand how our emergency operations plan works and how we need to continue to improve upon it. It is a great opportunity to meet with the parents whenever it is scheduled at the church. One, to review some of the actions that took place during that day so that parents are clear that our priority was to keep the students safe. But also to learn from them, to see how can we improve upon the work that we did, and how we can support them, again, to lessen the stress and the anxiety that incidents like these cause, but also to find mechanisms that will support them. One, when we have to find spaces for our students to go to, how to facilitate parents gaining access to their children once they are able to meet up with them. So I appreciate the comments that have been made from both my board, but also from you parents, because I think only, as has been said, only working together to find solutions to whatever problems arise will we be the best district that we can be. The only other two things I want to say is Happy Veterans Day, a belated Veterans Day. Many of us and many of you have family members who serve or have served in the military, and so we honor and thank them for their service. And I do hope that during that period you had an opportunity to be with those family members. And finally, a happy and restful Thanksgiving. We hope you have the opportunity to spend time with your family and friends. Enjoy the time. It goes by very fast. So let's maximize the joy that it is to be with our loved ones. Thank you. And that is all I have. Mr. Galarza, thank you.
Thank you, sir. We're going to go ahead and move on to a public hearing to receive comments on fee justification study for new residential and commercial industrial development, and to consider and respond all comments received by the district related to thereto. At this time, at 8:09, I open this public hearing. Lisette, do we have any comments for public hearing? No? Okay, I'll give it a minute before I close it. At this time, I close the public hearing at 8:10. Moving on, I just want to go back to action taken during closed session for the record. The appointment of Melissa Mora as a middle school is for assistant principal, not principal. Just want the record to reflect that. We'll go ahead and move on to 7.1. CVUSD Internet Connectivity Private LTE Project Update. Mr. Oliveros, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Vice President Galarza, Superintendent Dr. Valentino, distinguished board members and executive cabinet. Tonight I will be providing you with an update on our private LTE efforts and internet connectivity efforts to bridge the digital divide in underserved communities. So to begin, we have some very great news. We've been able to accomplish something that had been a challenge to the district for many, many decades, and that was to bring adequate internet services to our 3 remote schools that are located at Oasis and the Salton City community. So Seaview, Oasis, and West Shores have received updated internet connectivity methods through a fiber connection. So we were able to accomplish that in partnership with CNIC, and thanks to the support of our board, as well to RCOE, Dr. Gomez and his technology team, Dr. Fennell and ICOE, along with his CTO, Luis Wong. We had a lot of lengthy conversations, and we were able to accomplish this great task. In addition to that, along with the upgrades that we brought through fiber in partnership with Frontier, we've also been able to upgrade the microwave connections that 2 of these locations received through our Spectrum partnership. So both of these programs allow for adequate updated speeds for internet access at these 3 locations, providing them with 1 gigabit service, which is the equivalent to what our Inner Valley schools currently have access to. So great accomplishment. These both projects are being funded and supported through the FCC's E-READ program. So very excited there, very excited to see the increase of usage at these locations to be able to continue enhancing the learning in the classroom through technology. Our next update is around phase 1 and phase 2 of the LTE components of
Israel, I'm sorry to interrupt, but in plain language on these upgraded internet connections, what are we seeing improved in our schools so people can connect, no interruptions?
increased reliability and an updated connection technology that is more reliable, is not as dependent in other areas. The previous design was dependent on a connection that was being provided through Mecca. So whenever Mecca suffered a power outage, it would affect our 3 remote schools. This new design completely eliminates that dependency and provides that consistency and access, which also does expand and allow us to continue expanding what we've been doing with the private LTE.
Thank you.
So for phase 1 and phase 2, for phase 1, we continue doing a quality control in order to simplify the method and the way that our students are accessing the technology. Our overall goal is reliability. We want the students to be able to access the components that they need to access in order to be able to get online. We are partnering with additional vendors and manufacturers of devices to ensure that we're considering future enhancements and future methods that we can leverage to improve the way that our kids connect to the internet. For phase 2, we continue the conversations. We are continuing to wait on funding that we submitted applications for through the Emergency Connectivity Fund. That allows us to expand in additional areas that we have identified gaps in service for. We continue the conversation with CVAC, One Future CV, and also our nearby school districts on how we could all collaborate, sharing our data and making sure that we're bridging the gaps that we have throughout the valley, not only in our area, but in the areas throughout the valley as a whole. We're also preparing to submit additional applications for funding through state program funding opportunities that are currently present. This space and this landscape is very, very fluid and very dynamic, very fast-paced, and because of the pandemic, there has been a lot of increased support through the state governments and federal governments to be able to bridge this divide. That's why there are some delays with approval of requests for funding, because our governments need to be strategic on how they allocate some of these projects, because a lot of them do complement each other and offer some redundancy and coverage. So there is progress being made. We continue the conversations and exploring all available options. And that concludes our updates for tonight. Now we open for any questions or comments.
Board members, any questions? Mr. Arredondo?
Yeah, I just have one. And this has to do with, I was at a couple school sites, Saul Martinez, and in that area. And a few parents, were talking about the connectivity there, that the MiFis weren't working. So I was just wondering if we have an outage on the internet, is there a way for technology to communicate that across our district, just so that parents and they know that that Verizon has an outage and it's affecting our students that have their iPads and wanting to use them at home.
Yeah, we'll definitely improve on our communication. We were communicating with the schools directly, so they would pass that information along to our parents. But we'll make sure that we continue that communication.
That's it.
I have a,
Mr. Gonzalez?
yeah, Israel, you had we dealt with the pandemic, right? And there was a lot of uncertainty, man, and just my hat off to the work that you've done. It's never perfect, right? And I can tell you that it's an amazing feat, and obviously it was done through good work, and I just want to commend you and the people around you for what you do, man.
Thank you.
I have a question. I can't seem to wrap my head around this, right? I'm still a little lost. In simple terms, what is the function of this project? So are we providing Wi-Fi service? Are we strengthening the connectivity on campus? Or these towers do we provide access to our children to go home and connect from their devices at home to these towers? Can you explain that to me?
Yeah. So it's a multi-layer approach. We are currently leveraging the schools to be able to provide that extended connectivity that would give the students access at home.
Okay.
The objective is the students accessing the internet through our network using our schools as the conduit out to the internet.
Okay, that definitely clears things up. As you can see, my small brain.
So we use the school's internet connection to amplify the LTE that provides the kids with connectivity. So that's why when we're working on projects like increasing the connectivity and the access at Oasis, Seaview, and West Shores, that supports projects like the LTE project because it allows that access beyond the classroom.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Israel. Definitely exactly what I was looking for when I asked for an update on this project. So, like Mr. Gonzalez said, good work, keep it up. And well, we have one more question. Mr. Acuna?
Not so much a question, just a kind of a comment. I want to thank you and your team, and not only for what you're doing now, but we had this discussion during the pandemic, and I guess the foresight or the vision that you had and your team and others to think beyond the pandemic as how we could help our community, not necessarily after the pandemic, but we saw a hole, and how are we going to fill it with to help our community in general. We're not doing it at home and all that. I mean, a lot of this, even though they give us all kinds of money, there was no way it was going to be done by the time the kids got back to school. But in taking that and saying, well, there's other issues out in our community that are not related. They've been there before and they're going to be there after, and really taking a path to kind of really help our community as a whole, and especially those areas where there's just nothing there. So I did want to recognize that this isn't something that just happened because of this. This was something that happened during the pandemic when all the the resources and some of the things were coming in, that we didn't just get the money and go like that. That you and your team and everyone who was involved actually had a vision and said, this is going to outlast the pandemic and this is how it's going to help our community. So, and I believe that's important to say because it wasn't just done like, oh, look, we did this. There was a plan, there was a vision, there was partners, everybody working together. So I did want to acknowledge that this isn't just something that, oh, by the way, we were able to get fiber at one of the schools, and that's great. This was a plan. This was something that was done purposely and went through the process, and now we're starting to see that bear the fruit of that hard work. So I did want to thank you and your team and everybody who was involved with that. So.
Appreciate all the support. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna pass the gavel real quick to Madam Clerk. I'm gonna take a quick break.
Item 7.2, Alex Pantoja, Nutrition Services Presentation.
Good evening. Good evening, Executive Board, Cabinet. Thank you, team, for being here, sticking it out. I'm joined by Alex Pantoja, our Interim Director of Nutrition Services, to give this Nutrition Services update. So we're going to begin with staffing. We have all of our cafeterias have a kitchen where they prepare meals. We have breakfast, lunch, supper, and snacks that are done daily. For all of our students, we have a staff of cafeteria kitchen managers and kitchen workers, 124. Warehouse, we have nutrition services storekeepers who deliver the food, who receive them in the warehouse and take them out to the cafeterias. Our additional support of office is here in the administrative specialist, a buyer, and a budget specialist who supports our management team. Part of our meal planning is actually making sure that we're in compliance with all of our school meals. So we follow the guidelines from USDA and CDE. It's keeping them in the standard so that we receive reimbursement. So we have to keep them compliant to what we're serving. We actually didn't include the grade levels for pre-K and TK that we also serve. So we'll have over 20 sites that have this meal, which are served a little differently for the kiddos, but nevertheless, Nutrition Services provides this. And I'm going to have Alex talk a little bit more about the fresh fruit and vegetable program with the local farmers. He's been directly involved with our farmers to make sure that we have that seasonal produce and the fruits and vegetables going out to the kitchens.
Good evening. I want to speak about the fruits and vegetable program. We currently have 5 sites that were awarded the fresh fruit and vegetable program. As a matter of fact, I wanted to introduce our aggregator right now, Mr. Mark Tadros from Assist Farms. He is the person in charge of walking us through this, receiving the vegetables and all the produce from local produce from the farm to the schools. So right now for the fresh fruit and vegetable program, we're only using local produce. Assist Farm is in communication with the local farmers. One is Armenta Farms, Solis Farms, Juniors Enterprises, 5 Crowns, Ocean Mist, and Cider Point. Okay, so stuff that we get from these farms, it's super. It's new to our students. It comes directly from the land, basically, and it arrives to our cafeterias where we need to process it. Our students have the opportunity to look at the fruits and vegetables the way in its natural, in the natural way as they get harvested. Many times they question the fact that they still come with the leaves. It looks a little dirty. Or they have different shapes. It's because it comes directly from the farm. So it's not the product that normally gets chosen to go to the supermarkets. It comes to our school from the soil, the local soil. Okay, so the fresh fruit and vegetable program was awarded to five schools, and for every school. For this program, we are supposed to be serving fruits and vegetables as a minimum of 3 days a week. So we're currently doing Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. Every time we have the program and we provide the produce or the fruits to the students, an activity sheet is provided along with the vegetable of the day or the fruit of the day, and the students get to sample it, get to taste it, and they also have the opportunity to have some educational component as well. The program will run I would say, for almost the entire year. On the other hand, we also have the collaboration of CalFresh and the University of California. And they're offering a lot of the nutrition as support. Let me tell you that what they do for the students, and it happens once a week or up to twice a week, they are visiting several sites out of the 5 sites that are currently running the program, and they also provide a test tasting, asking the students if they like the product they received for the day, or if they disliked it. And can we? Let's go back to the next one. So the student feedback is currently conducted by the CalFresh collaboration, and the way they do it is they show up to the school site. And depending on the system that the school decided to provide the vegetables, some vegetables are provided in the school, in the classroom. Some are provided in the NPR. So the California CalFresh staff, when they come in with big boards, and they provide stickers to the students with a picture of the fruit or the vegetable, and they make it simple for the students. So the way they do it is that do you like it, Jess? Or you didn't like it? So what we can see here, we have how many students like it, how many dislike it, or how many the students would never try it. So that is how we are conducting the student feedback. I also wanted to talk about The other part of the, if we can go back to the previous page. Okay, the other part of the local produce, in collaboration with Mr. Mark Tadros from Assist Farms, the next step to include the local produce and vegetables to our school lunch menu will be to work around the seasonal items. How we're going to do this, there's a lot of work involved, and thanks that now we have the nutritionist in-house, his main role is to build the nutritional information in our menu system. Once this information it's in the nutritional in the system, we can speak with the vendor. The menus are done 8 weeks in advance. So at least 3 weeks in advance, we will contact the farmer and ask them what items are going to be available on the next 3 weeks, and that's how we're going to be bringing the local items to on salad bar days. We can use 1 or 2 items that are local for every school, and also we can provide on our scratch cooking days as an steamed vegetable or any other way. But this is the plan how we're going to introduce this local produce as part of the school lunch. So right now we have 2 programs, the fruit and vegetable program, and what is coming up in January will be the introduction of the local produce to the actual lunch program, school district-wide. Do you have any questions?
Open it
Well,
up for
thank you very much.
questions.
So Alex actually jumped to the last step where he was saying about how to work closely with the farmers and how to develop the recipes with our new nutritionist, and how he's really going to work on marketing the product so that the kids like it. So one of the ways is by taking the survey, actually knowing if they like it or not. So that's great feedback and exercise for the kids.
Redondo.
Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Pantoja. I just wanted to clarify. So we have 21 sites that offer out of our 21 sites, how many sites offer scratch cooking?
All the sites. All the sites do provide scratch cooking at least twice a week.
Okay.
Even at the secondary level. At the secondary site 7, 8, 9, 12.
Okay.
So you will see at least twice a week a menu with scratch cooked items.
And I just want to commend you because I've heard through some of my friends at other school districts that our school district does more scratch cooking than other school districts here in the valley. So
yes, the reason we have to use the scratch cooking system is because all of our kitchens are designed for scratch cooked items. The other school districts are central kitchen, and it is impossible to conduct this type of cooking. We are very lucky in Coachella that we still have kitchens where we can produce real food and real pastries and real breads in house. And I would like to extend the invitation to all the board members and our assistant superintendent to stop by one of the school sites and try the food. The menu that was launched in October it's a little bit different than the way it was before. It does have a lot of scratch cooked items. So the question is, you'll be welcome. If you would like to schedule a walkthrough and a lunch with us, you're welcome to come by and join us.
thank you for clarifying that, and then thank you for the local farmer, partnership. I think it's important that our students are able to, have local produce at their kitchens, and on top of that, scratch cooking. So thank you very much, Mr. Pantoja, for your work.
Thank you very much for having us.
Other questions? Turn it over to.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We are on item
8.1.
7.2.
7.2, electricity. So we just close that item. Approval of proposed governing board meeting day, time, and locations for calendar.
Motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Second.
I'd like to propose an amendment.
Okay.
I propose that on January 19, we meet at Oasis Elementary School. I propose that on February 23rd, every other meeting. I propose that on February 23rd, we meet at CVHS.
If that's a motion, I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay.
And I'll second your motion.
Okay, you know what? This is what I'm gonna do
I understand the
instead.
spirit of what you're trying to do, so every other meeting,
Yeah.
that we assign it to a location.
Go back to,
Yeah.
basically going to go back to what we used to do.
Yes, so I will actually, he withdraw his motion. Do you withdraw your second real quick?
Yes.
I motion to amend January 19, February 23rd, March 23rd, April 6th, June 22nd, August 24th, September 28th, October 26th, to read, location TBA, school site will be announced.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I did have one question.
Yes, sir.
So I've been noticing over the years that we're moving more and more. We're only having one board meeting in April, one board meeting in May, I believe it is. In the past, we've always had two. And what happens sometimes that things bundle up. And then we have people, you know me, the guy that always checks what's late. Because of that, you know, we're missing, we're late, everything's coming through. Is there a reason? I know generally why we wouldn't do the one in April because it's during spring break, but we can, I mean, I'm just wondering why they omitted those. I understand the one in, excuse me, the one in November, because then we always have that in December, which we have the holidays after that. But in April and May, and then I believe the other one was July that we did. I know that's usually because of the summer.
Yeah.
But the April and the May ones, I'm not sure. If I got those correct, did I get those
Yes,
correct?
you're correct. April and May.
So I was just wondering the reasoning behind that we don't have
April
board
would-
meetings on those, two board meetings on those.
April would be spring break, right? Is that, and then May.
It's normally,
So
but we normally.
Basic graduations.
Huh?
We have a lot of graduations and things during that month, so
Right.
it's
But again, in the past, our board meetings were either the second and fourth or the first and third, and then we adjusted them accordingly. I'm just asking the question. I'm not saying that we need to change it right now. I'm just, you know, things start bundling up, especially in April and May with a lot of other things going on. I understand that. But then again, we start having that problem that things didn't get approved because we only had one meeting. So everybody's trying to get a month ahead of time before they're normally doing it, and they're pressing. Plus, that's around the time, I believe, when we start closing to be able to buy things and to get things. So I don't remember the actual time, the month that is, but that starts around what, April? Huh?
April 1st.
Right. So then we're stopping people from buying things, and then we don't have board meetings, and so it's just a question to put out there for maybe future discussion when we get there. We can always add them later.
Okay.
I'm just putting it out there that there's things we need to maybe consider in case it doesn't bundle up like we have.
Okay. Do you feel we need to have a second meeting in April? We can make that adjustment right now.
Consider it. Ask staff to maybe go back and reconsider if there's the actual need for it, and I know there's a lot of things going on, but again, there's things that we probably need to, and that'll also help us with the one meeting at the school site and one meeting at the district office, where we can focus on a lot of more paperwork at the district office, but when we're out at the school sites, we can focus more on community and topics that are more relatable to the community, kind of like we used to do.
Perfect. Then I'll go ahead and add an item to my amendment is to add April.
You don't have to add it, just consider
20th.
it for now. And
Let's just add it. Let's just add it, right? April 20th, board meeting. That's good? We're good? Awesome. You accept whoever second? Accept
I second it, I'll accept it.
Okay, perfect. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries unanimously. Item 8.2, approval for trustee myself and superintendent to attend HAKU 28th Annual National Capital Forum on Hispanic Higher Education in Washington, D.C. So move. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Just want to put that, just want to talk a little bit on this item. The HAKU organization is the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities. I believe it's a great organization that we should start working with to increase a pipeline or increase our pipeline of our students attending higher education, considering that we are over 90% Hispanic, Latino, Chicano community. So the purpose of that visit is to engage with that organization and go advocate on behalf of our communities at Capitol Hill. So with that being said, I'll call the question. Is all those in favor?
Before we vote, shouldn't we also maybe put this on the radar of our staff that is responsible for this?
Yes, and it has been. Recently, Santiago attended the annual conference that HACU has. And this is something to elevate our efforts in relationships. So definitely it's been taken into consideration. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Just a quick question, and I'm not sure. Under normally, we do the student trustee separately. Are we okay to do it together now, which I'm fine with? I don't care.
For
all votes?
For actions.
Oh.
So I just
Right.
wanted to
I've
make
been
sure.
calling it-
I mean, if we can do it all together and that's okay, I'm good with that too. We've been doing it the other way, so I don't know if there was a reason we did it.
I think it would be a lot more effective if we did it together, right?
Yeah,
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm only bringing it up because we have in the past been doing that.
No,
I don't know if there was an actual reason we did that.
Yes, there's an actual reason. Ed Code requires the student trustee to take a preferential vote. And shame on you for not calling me out earlier.
Just a caveat though that if my understanding is correct, the preferential vote of the student trustee should be called first because then she gets to influence our thinking in our vote. So making sure that we remember that we ask the student trustees votes first before we vote.
I missed it on the previous one, but when we made this one, I thought about it.
Yeah, and I'll go back. Trustee De La Rosa, how do you vote on 8.1?
Aye.
Thank you. Let that reflect the record. Student trustee, how do you, not student trustee, Trustee De La Rosa, how do you vote on item 8.2?
Aye.
Thank you. Awesome. Action item 8.3, adoption of Board Resolution 2023, authorizing meetings of Board of Education to be conducted by teleconference pursuant to Assembly Bill AB 361. Is there a motion? So moved. Motion by Mr.
Second.
Arredondo, second by Mr. Gonzalez. Trustee De La Rosa, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. 1 with our student trustee and 6. We're 6 tonight. Moving on to item 9.1, requesting approval of Riverside County Superintendent of Schools Head Start Early Head Start Sub-Award Agreement.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Arredondo, second by Mr. Gonzalez. Student trustee De La Rosa?
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Item 9.2, requesting approval of California Department of Education contract to deliver professional development services to New California Partnership Academy statewide in June 2023. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Arredondo. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Gonzalez. Trustee De La Rosa?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Sorry, I had a little freezing moment. I didn't know what I was doing. Item 9.4, requesting approval of
9.3.
9.3? I'm sorry. No, we just voted on 9.3.
No, we voted 9.2.
Item 9.3, requesting approval of Riverside County Superintendent of Schools State Preschool Sub-Award Agreement.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Arredondo. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Paz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Student trustee?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Item 9.4, requesting approval of agreement between the Special Education Department and the Law Office of Tony de Aslan. Is there a motion? Motion by Mr. Acuña.
Second.
Second by Mr. Arredondo. Student
I
trustee?
have a question.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
It says here there is no fiscal impact. So how are these services being paid for? Are they doing it in kind or?
It's pro bono work.
Wow, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Student trustee?
Aye.
Trustee De La Rosa.
Aye.
I have a follow-up question. What does the work entail? And do we have, is our council privy to this work?
Our special ed directors.
Mr. Nichols?
Hi, good evening. Tony DeOtzlon, sorry, always have trouble. She provides post-secondary transition services for students with IEPs who they graduate with a certificate of completion, and they have the option of staying with the school district until they're 22. Sometimes they don't want to do that, and a lot of times our families don't know what resources are available to them, such as post-secondary vocational opportunities, independent living opportunities, even applying for Social Security. So her services that she offers, she works with families to help connect them to those services that are available to them and to their students. Her work with the school district and with the families is pro bono.
Any further questions?
And it's specifically related to that work?
Yes, it's related to that work.
Do we have, because I know like the college does have like the Department for Students with Disabilities, are there partnerships established? And I know a lot of the times once a student graduates from us, it's more so on the student to disclose that they like these services, but I don't know that all of our students or families know of those services. So I'm wondering if there's other ways that we can also support students in that transition.
Right. This year with the CPAC, the Special Education Parent Advisory Committee, we're going to be offering 2 trainings on transition, and we're going to be talking about those services and what's available with disabled student services with COD, essentially.
Well, I think the opportunity with this pro bono work is that we could direct every student that we know has need, right?
And we do. We get releases from parents so that we can share that information with Ms. Jonslon, and then her office makes the appointment, speaks with the student and the parent to see what services might be available for them.
So families and students would opt into this service?
Right.
Okay, this just says that we are in agreement to
Correct.
for collaborators.
Just real quickly, what are the things that it does? These are programs that are already being done. What we're trying to do is make it easier for our parents to access the programs without having to jump to 20 hoops before you get to that participation. So in essence, what we're doing with the agreement, and again, it's not about contracting services, it's just about access and allowing it to be an easier way to be able to access them. Also access them earlier than later, because sometimes they get to the end of the year and it's kind of too late. So a lot of this is trying to streamline the access to the parents, and the parents, it's kind of like a resource. If they choose to do something different, the options are all there. But I think the original concept, because I did sit in on one of the meetings when we started this originally, was simply to make it easier for our parents and not having them to go through multiple hoops before we got to that process. And this agreement allows that process to happen.
Call the question. I think we had a motion, second.
Yes. All those, Trustee De La Rosa?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? For the record, 5-0. Mr. Redondo not present. Requesting approval to, no, 9.5, second reading of approval revised board policy and administrative regulation, administering medication and monitoring health conditions. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Acuña. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Vargas. Any questions, any discussion? Seeing none, Trustee De La Rosa?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries 4-0. Let the record reflect that Trustee Gonzalez and Trustee Acuña are not here.
Trustee Arredondo.
Trustee Arredondo. Trustee Acuña is here. Sorry. Man, it's one of those days. Item 9.6, requesting approval to purchase student iPads from Apple Inc. and cases from CDWG LLC. Is there a motion? Motion by Mr. Acuña. Is there a second?
I have a question.
Second.
Okay. What's your question, madam?
It doesn't state here what the need is, and I thought we had bought all the iPads that we needed when we were doing the upgrades and all of that. So if I can just get the rationale for, the need.
Yeah, so the need here that was identified is categorized as the homework gap. So the homework gap, what that means is that there's a certain amount of students that do not have access to a dedicated personal electronic device at home to be able to access their educational resources. So through the Emergency Connectivity Fund, we were able to apply for those students that responded not having access to these devices for this very specific dedicated access. So the purpose of these iPads is for these devices to stay at home strictly for their educational needs, regardless of what the district iPads do.
Thank you.
Thank you. There was a motion and a second. Student trustee?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Trustee Arredondo and Trustee Gonzalez are back. Action item 10.1, authorization to issue purchase order to A-Tech Consulting for testing lead in water pursuant to Assembly Bill AB 2370.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Arredondo, second by Mr. Gonzalez. Any discussion, question? Seeing none, Trustee De La Rosa?
Aye.
Any, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Action item 10.2, authorization to award contract bid number 159-2023FB, Coachella Valley High School Weight Room.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Redondo. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Gonzalez. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, Trustee De La Rosa?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. 6-0. Action item 10.3, consideration for adoption of resolution number 2023-20 approving of an increase in statutory school fees level 1 pursuant to Education Code 17620 and Government Code Section 65995.
So moved.
I motion.
Motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Redondo. Any question, any discussion? Seeing none, Trustee De La Rosa?
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Action item 10.4, adopt resolution number 2023-21, approval to apply state allocation board school facility bond funds for modernizations and new construction projects.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Redondo, second by Mr. Gonzalez. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, Trustee De La Rosa?
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I just want to, I'm calling discussion after, I apologize, Vice President Galarza. I think it's important that we actually take this to the next level and actually visit Sacramento and with respect to those departments, through the help of the assemblyman who obviously has a little bit of clout in Sacramento to really maximize the potential opportunities as it relates to these types of funds.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Something we need to do soon.
We will. Let's get on it. Motion carries. Action item 10.5.
Table that.
Oh, yes, we did. We tabled that. We pulled it. Action item 11.1. Approval of MOU between Riverside County Superintendent of Schools and Coachella Valley Unified School District
motion.
regarding.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Redondo. Any discussion? Seeing none, Trustee De La Rosa?
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Action item 11.2, approval of MOU between CVUSD and Azusa Pacific University regarding adapted PE fieldwork.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Arredondo, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Vargas. Any discussion? Questions? Seeing none. Trustee De La Rosa?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Action item 10.3, approval of MOU between CVUSD and Redlands University regarding communication sciences and disorders educational fieldwork.
It's 11.3. Just
Yeah, 11.3. Did I say something else?
you said 10.3.
Oh, 11.3, sorry. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Arredondo, second by Mr. Gonzalez. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none. All those in favor, student trustee? Sorry.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Action item 11.14, approval or denial for campus security at CVU Elementary. Is there a motion on the floor?
A motion to deny?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Questions, concerns?
Yes. I
Trustee
have,
Paz?
We have plans to meet the request, right, of increasing safety at the campus. So I want that to be sort of noted that there is a plan, even if there is a motion to deny the specific request at this point. So just wanted to voice that. If I am inaccurate, I can be corrected, but just wanted to, for the record, state that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Any other? Trustee Acuna?
Yeah, you're owed an explanation, I guess is the best way to put it, for putting it on there. You are well aware of my position on this, so it comes as no surprise. I do not believe at this time that it is in our interest to do that. And I can quote all the times at all the other places that have had resource officers and it didn't make a difference. But I do want to recognize the fact that you're here, fighting for what you believe is right, even though I personally may disagree with that. In the fact that I've always said a good day is anytime anybody gets off the couch and comes here, either they support us or oppose us. That's a good day because that's democracy in action, something that unfortunately sometimes is lacking. So, but again, you know my position on this for now. I think there's ways, and we have been looking at ways to improve safety across the board with certain devices, with fences, with different things. And not only there, I mean, we have remote schools at Oasis and even Mecca, but even other ones that are in the middle of the city. I grew up the old Dayton School, Bobby Duke, there. My son was at CDA. They had lockdowns because, or we had one the other day because some crazy person in the neighborhood was driving around with a gun. So those are types of things that it's a community things that we need to do. Our restorative practices program, our blended model is one part of that. It's not the full solution. Parent engagement, some types of programs to help parents identify and do things. That's part of it. Staff training, there's a lot of things that go into it. But I didn't want you to go away thinking that I just simply said, no, I have what I believe in my mind anyway, where we should be and maybe where we should go. I would say that I was one of the original ones that voted to take the RSOs out for a lot of the same reasons that my colleague mentioned, that they basically said, well, we're just here to arrest kids. Well, I don't need that. Our security can hold the kids and then you can come and arrest them. That was the attitude then, which I don't believe has changed yet, unless the sheriff wants to come and correct me, but he didn't when he came down the last time. And there might be things. And I will say, although it won't affect CVU School, I am encouraged that the city of Coachella is talking about creating their own law enforcement department, because when it's done in that way, the community can decide how they want to be treated, what we're going to go after. My concern with certain individuals is that I believe in community policing, not being policed by the community. And I grew up where we were policed by the community, so that's something hard for me to let go of. But I do believe that there's ways in the future that we can work with law enforcement. I agree, I'm not opposed to that. We did it for very specific reasons at the time, but we're always open to what else is out there. I haven't seen that yet from them. The DA's department, I know, has been working in changing a lot of their processes, their old processes that used to put our kids in the pipeline. So, with them, I'm seeing change. I'm seeing their willingness to adapt. And I believe they're just looking across the country and saying, we have to. We can't continue doing the same thing. So, not to make it long, but I believe that you deserved an explanation as far as I did. And again, I do appreciate the fact that you've been here tenaciously doing what you believe is right, even though in this case I happen to disagree with you. So thank you for that.
Mr. Redondo?
Yeah, so I just have a comment on this. One of the things that's concerning is, this school is down south and Imperial County does respond if there's an emergency. I am concerned with the response time that could lag, and that's why, I support having a security on campus. But I understand that, we're all thinking about safety and security. And for me, that response time is critical out there, and it is a different county that responds there, and we have no control over that response time. So, but I do support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Just for the record, response time, at the end of the day, it would, I don't think we have, response time is response time, whether it's coming out of Imperial Valley or Riverside County.
Thank you. I couldn't, Mr. Acuna couldn't have said it any more better. Definitely, it's been a process, but again, I think I've been also pretty transparent in my stance on this, right, where I don't agree with putting in a security officer at a specific campus at an elementary school. Just considering the fiscal impact, $100,000, multiply that by 17, because once we approve one school, every elementary school will have to, get a security officer too. So that being said, I'll call the question. I just want to clarify that a vote yes is yes to deny, and a vote no is no, not deny. Okay? There's a motion on the floor to deny staff's recommendation, request. Student trustee?
Before we vote on this, I just want to remind staff, the way this was written is very odd, and I don't know if it was done on purpose, but this is very odd.
Thank you. And I think I asked for it in that way, right? To give us the ability to make that decision.
Okay.
Okay. Student trustee?
I'm going to abstain just because I don't really know.
Thank you. Student trustee abstains. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Aye. Any abstain?
Abstain.
Motion carries 4-1-1. Moving on to 11.5, approval for 2022 workshop program.
Before we move on, though, in the spirit of the transparency and conversations and communication, I do want to emphasize that our administration be in constant communication with the parents across our district, particularly at CVU, about these steps to enhance safety. So I don't want this to be the end of a conversation. I want this to be a continued conversation. Thank you.
Very well noted. Very well said. Any other comments? We took a vote on it, but seeing none. 11.5, approval for 2022 workshop program. So move. Motion by Mr. Arredondo. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Acuna. Any discussion, comments, questions? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm sorry, Trustee De La Rosa?
Aye.
Thank you. Please pull my ear next time.
Too far away.
So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Moving on to consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered by the board to be routine and will be acted upon in one motion. There will be no discussion of these items prior to the time of the board considers the motion unless members of the board or staff request specific items to be discussed and or removed from the consent calendar, in which the event the items will be considered separately. The superintendent, assistant superintendent of educational service, and assistant superintendent of business and finance, and assistant superintendent of human resources recommend the approval of all consent calendars. Are there any items that need to be pulled? Mr. Acuna?
Yeah, I motion to approve the consent calendar with respecting any items pulled by any board member.
Second.
Mr. Acuna?
I don't want to pull them, but I do want to make a quick comment. So if I can do that, and it'll save us time.
There's a motion and there's a second on the floor. Now it's time for discussion. That's appropriate, sir.
So the reason I don't want to pull them because there are just many. We have approvals here for winter sports coaching that on the agenda says that they will start working tomorrow. Obviously, winter sports are already engaged, so I'm assuming these people haven't been working for free. So it's a concern that they simply chose to put it on forward like that. I was going to bring it up earlier. I just got very busy this week with some family things. But again, I understand the ones that come up or that are not things. We have coaches every year. We've had this discussion before in the previous past. That we have discussions every year, how is it that we forget or they're late? And so that just concerns me that principals maybe or whoever is sending them in after the fact. And we already know they've been working forever. And again, it's fine, we understand. And the reason I don't want to pull them is they're going to get paid, and I understand that. But we need to get better at that kind of stuff. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Acuna. There's a motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Arredondo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm sorry. I'll do it myself. There you go. Student, Trustee De La Rosa?
Aye.
Okay, I'll call the vote again. Any, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. At this time, can I entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Redondo, second by Mr. Gonzalez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Student trustee?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. I apologize, it's been a long week.
You're going to get a lot of practice next year.
Yes, that's true.
Meeting adjourned.
I think Stephanie's confused.
Need to put a-
She doesn't